What's up? I'm Meredith Marakowitz alongside Lindsey Adler of The Athletic. Lindsey, thank you so much for making the trek to Clearwater.
Of course, happy to do it.
So now, this is your third year covering the Yankees. 3 years of wedded bliss?
3 years of a learning curve, 3 years of figuring it out, and kind of wedded bliss, yeah.
It's an interesting dynamic if you haven't covered, I would say the Yankees, probably anyone else in Major League Baseball. The Dodgers, you can argue, are maybe similar, but it's just a different animal when you get here.
It's wild. But in a sense, I think it's like, it may be a little bit easier, too, just because there's always something to cover, you know?
Somebody told me early on, the Yankees will always provide. You may go to the field one day and you're like, what am I going to talk about? And it seems like inevitably, every time, something happens.
Something, which is really inconvenient on days when I'm like trying to report and finish a feature, but I'd rather have too much to do than not enough.
You mentioned the features, and the cool thing about The Athletic is that it gives you a little bit of freedom to do more stuff that I would imagine you'd like to do. Not everyone has the luxury of kind of deep diving into some different topics, or editors maybe would say, no, we're staying away from that. When you look at your product over the past couple of years, is there one story in particular that you look at and you say, wow, I'm proud of that one?
It's hard to feel pride in my work, but there are some where I think the process was probably interesting. I think that's probably where I go with that. There was one I did last May, June. All I know is it ran when we were in Baltimore, so it felt like endless, about players talking about the times when they thought about giving up baseball. And so that idea, I had been talking with our Twins beat writer, Dan Hayes, and he had been talking to a player, and the player had said, you know, like, I once thought about just giving up and playing college football. And I was like, you know, Dylan Betances was in the minors for a long time. Adam Ottavino had Tommy John surgery, you know, and so I spent a few weeks talking to players about kind of their toughest moments and the times when they either legitimately thought about walking away, or just the times when they were like, this sucks, man. You know, like Brett Gardner calling his dad when the bus from Staten Island had taken a wrong turn and it was like a 5-hour trip, and he was like, do I really want to do this? And it was just interesting to hear about the paths some guys had taken and really kind of the emotions of it. And so I enjoyed, you know, having kind of that prompt from a friend and kind of thinking about it with the guys I cover and really kind of getting to know more about how they see themselves in their careers, you know?
Oftentimes people just look at the end product and the creme de la creme who get a nice contract, make money, and live what they seem to be thinking is a charmed life. They don't see maybe sometimes all the hard work, the bus rides in the minors, and everything you give up to get to that point. Now, journalism is similar in the regard that oftentimes you have to move around a little bit, you have to work your way up, you have to grind a little bit. Generally speaking, there's not that pot of gold as much at the end of the travels. I mean, I hope we make Giancarlo Stanton money, but
I don't know what I'll be doing.
Fingers crossed, right? Was there ever a time you thought giving up when you were kind of coming up through all of it?
Yeah, like pretty much every single day, my first day or my first year on the beat.
Really?
Yeah, it's just like, it's hard. You're in an environment where it's unfamiliar. It's basically our job when we're in the clubhouse. You're kind of walking in, and most of the time you're having friendly conversations with people who aren't your friends, and it can be really interesting and fascinating, and there's a lot of guys who I really enjoy talking with and, you know, learning from and whatnot, but it can be a little bit emotionally exhausting. And then trying to figure out, you know, really kind of the ups and downs of a baseball season and what's important, what's not important, you know, things that I kind of thought I knew and understood from being a big baseball fan. Once you kind of get on the inside, it's like, wait, how long is this learning curve, you know? And it's like, I feel like I am still on a learning curve, but that first year, it's just kind of like you're like on a mountain bike. You're like
pedal to the
like,
metal, and
where's everybody going? Which backfield do I go to? And I'm just like, I don't know if I can handle this. But yeah.
Well, we're glad you stuck it out. Thank you for sticking it out, because, you know, we need more estrogen on the beat. Lindsey, myself, Christy Acker. That's about it.
Susan.
Right? Oh, Susan. I cannot forget Susan. She will
Susan's
never
gonna be
forgive
so
me.
mad when she sees that.
I'm sorry. Please don't yell at me. You know what? I did talk to her. A lot of the comments online so far have been, we want Susan on the show. And I want to let you guys know that Susan has loosely agreed to coming on. So we're hoping that when she gets down here, I believe their first game is the 22nd as well. Yes's first game, the 22nd, 1 o'clock against the Blue Jays. You can check out the Yankees for the first time in the 2020 season, WFAN. Doing that game, I think. So she will be down here, and we'll have to do some fun stuff with Susan. She's a good time to hang out with.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? You talk about coming up through all of it, and I remember back to when I was covering minor league teams, and I'm driving from Philadelphia to Reading to Allentown, back to Philadelphia. Didn't know if I was coming or going, and I can't even tell you the amount of times you have those internal conversations where you're like, what am I doing with my life?
I know.
Fast forward a lot of years later, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? But it's a fun time. It's a fun ride. When you look at what's gone on over the past couple of days with pitchers and catchers, is there anything that stood out to you so far?
Definitely Garrett Cole's loquaciousness when talking about pitching, where it just kind of, I described it as kind of like when I've just read a really good book and I'm explaining it to my boyfriend, but he hasn't read it, and so he's like trying to like be excited about my interest, but it's just like all the words are tumbling out, and it's just, you can see the enthusiasm, and it really made me think about the range of styles they have on that pitching staff, and how they have a lot of guys who are very analytically and numbers inclined, and like Adam Ottavino and Zach Britton, and then you've got really big thinkers like Jay Happ and James Paxton, and then Luis Severino obviously has that really intense competitiveness, and Masahiro Tanaka is as meticulous as it gets, and to think about it really all coming together, and everyone in between, it's a really interesting, smart, informed, and kind of a lot of guys who approach it from maybe a similar-ish family, but break out into different branches and get different results. And so it's interesting to me to see how he's kind of fit into what is already kind of a nerd staff and already like a really cerebral staff. And so that's kind of what that got me thinking about.
And Matt Blake obviously leading the charge now as the pitching coach. And I've even noticed throughout those bullpens, the amount of cameras, the amount of people standing there taking notes, writing down data to have a baseline to essentially compare it with throughout the course of spring training, and then really throughout the course of the year. That's something maybe we didn't see in that capacity in the past for the Yankees.
Yeah.
And we also found out today that Garrett Cole's a little bit of a jokester. A little bit of a jokester with you.
Oh, yeah. He thought it was funny that I was wearing a sweatshirt in Florida.
It was freezing this morning. I had a leather coat on. It was like 55 degrees. Am I being dramatic? I think it was like 55 degrees. Yeah.
It was like 55-ish, and I was just like happy because
you weren't sweating. It wasn't 900 and our
hair
wasn't like out to
freaking
here.
Out, but I was just, I packed a few things in case it was like chillier, and I was just happy to have had my foresight rewarded. And he was like, are you cold? And I was like, well, no, I'm just happy to be wearing this.
So thrilled to be able to wear something that I brought. Lovely, by the way. And it is freezing in that clubhouse. I don't care what anyone says. It's like subarctic. Not for me. I need like a nice, comfortable 74. It might be a little warm for some people, but that's the way I roll. Okay, let's talk about Fisher. Because while I've never met Fisher, he is, I know, we need to make that happen.
This season.
He's one of my favorites. And you're like, who's Fisher? Is it a dude? Is it what? No, Fisher is your lovely dog. And Fisher has an unbelievable closet.
He really does. He's a 4-year-old Japanese Spitz, and he has a Star Wars shirt because he's named for Carrie Fisher. Rest in peace, my queen, my goddess. And for Christmas, he received a Yoda costume with little ears, and I basically made him wear it for most of the rest of December and early January. And
I imagine that it was really well received anytime you took him anywhere, though. He had to be like the talk of every party.
Yes, so he mostly wore it at home, and then he wore it to a Super Bowl party where he was excited to be getting a lot of food from other people, so it was like a lot of mix of attention anyway. And so now he actually likes wearing the Yoda sweatshirt, which makes me very happy.
Now, have you seen the socks that you can make? Do you have those?
No.
Okay.
His
I'm
feet
gonna
are
need
such weird shapes.
no, not socks for him, socks for you.
Oh.
So
oh
you
no,
can
I
get
have seen players wear
you
those.
can get a photo of Fisher dressed up in the Yoda costume and get it put on socks, and then you have Fisher wherever you go. I don't know if that's amazing, creepy, a little bit of both, but
Kale
that'd be cool.
Kosho, a
Yeah.
AAA pitcher who had Tommy John surgery last year, unfortunately, got like 3 pair of those from his wife from like one Christmas. I saw him like putting them on. I was like, bro, where did you get those? And there's like a stall at the Bryant Park like winter market that sells like dog socks, and no one ever has Japanese Spitz socks because, and here's my rant, the American Kennel Club does not recognize them as being genetically different enough from American Eskimos to recognize the Japanese Spitz. And this place had Japanese Spitz socks. So last year I bought a pair, and then this year I went back and bought 3 more pair.
Nice.
So most of the time I'm the woman wearing
The dog socks.
Dog socks.
I mean,
my dog's breed.
You've got to do what makes you happy. And I think a lot of people get it. A lot of people with dogs, certainly. Susan's a big dog lover.
Yeah,
she loves
I can't top Susan.
Margot and Gatsby are her dogs, and I hope they're doing well. I haven't had an update on them lately, but she always sends out her Christmas card, and she has the dogs on it, so it's nice.
Those dogs do pretty well. One of them gets acupuncture.
I know. I don't even get acupuncture. Suze, can you pay for my acupuncture?
Seriously, she's like, they just do a little one and just relaxes the dog, and it's a nice life.
Quick question. Best thing about being on the beat, worst thing about being on the beat?
Best thing about being on the beat is getting to just go to the experts. For so much of my life, I've sat and watched sports at home and been like, why the hell does he do this? Or just genuine curiosity, like, how does it work? Like, how does it feel to throw a slider? How does it feel to throw 100 pitches? What are these mechanisms? And just to be able to, instead of reading about it, instead of making assumptions about it, I can just go to someone and be like, can you please explain this to me? And it helps my base of knowledge and is really interesting because I never played baseball, I never played softball, like all of the things, players talk about with feel and, just kind of the instinct. It's really interesting to hear about. The worst thing about being on the beat is probably just the like inconsistent schedule, just, not being home for long enough periods of times, packing, being in just different places, trying to like keep some sort of semblance of like
Normal
mental
life,
and physical health while like jumping back and forth. And it's like, there's enough places in every city we go to that serve salads or whatever, but it's not really like the same as like being home and cooking myself a meal like 5 days in a row, and which even when we're home, we're at the ballpark a lot of the time. So it's a lot of transience, really.
And it's funny, we spend more time with the beat writers and everybody in our little circle that I feel like it's almost a dysfunctional family. We all, for the most part, get along.
Yeah.
But you can tell, like, dog days of August, people are getting on each other's nerves and nobody wants to see each other. Nobody wants to say anything. But
a thing I think about is it's nice that we have so many people on the beat because, like, beat writers I know in small cities are like, wow, how do you guys deal with so many people? That's so much competition. I'm like, okay, yes, but also it means that if someone annoys me, I can just go across the room and talk to someone else. Where, when I hear about beats that are like 3 people and there's like tension on that, I'm like, that would drive me nuts. I'm dealing with enough stress trying to do my job.
I think it kind of could serve as a motivating factor too. Maybe you don't want to go do something this day, but somebody else is. It's almost you're not going to get outworked. So you got to make sure you're there all the time and make sure you're present and you have an idea of what you want to do in each day. In starting to do these interviews, it got me thinking, do you think anybody would watch like a Yankees beat reality show made for YouTube? Like that would be pretty funny. Like think about some of the personalities we have in that clubhouse with the beat. We have the king of all media, George King, who would absolutely not participate willingly. We have some personalities. Well, Cuddy was on here the other day, and we were trying to find him a date. And I guess it didn't go well because he didn't have one for Valentine's Day. But he did say that you, myself, and Christy Ackert could set up a dating profile for him to try to get this ball rolling a little bit. So maybe we should, let's get started. Hi, Cuddy. Let's get real. Okay. How tall do you think he is?
5'10".
Okay, that sounds good. Yeah, I am 5'10".
I'm not a
All
good
right.
judge of height.
Which best describes your body type? Slim, slender, athletic, fit, about average, muscular, curvy, a few pounds extra.
What if I just didn't answer this?
I feel like I'm uncomfortable with this one.
Yeah.
What about you? All right, I'm gonna put that in. What's your relationship status? Never married, currently separated, divorced, widow. Okay, never married. I hope we don't know about any kids that he has. Cuddy, do you have any kids?
Does
No.
Cuddy know about any kids that he has?
Oh, geez.
That's maybe I'm just opening Pandora's
Yeah,
box
I hope
here.
not. Well, let the people call. Does he want children? Well, he seems kind of personal, but we're gonna go with yes. I think he'd be a good dad, right? He'd be a good dad as long as he didn't forget them anywhere.
Yeah.
Like he does his notebook or pen occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
We love you, bud.
It's okay. I'm forgetful too.
Definitely.
It's just not as charming when I do it.
Okay, education. We got you. No on that one. How often do you drink? We'll call him a social drinker. He's good. All right. Save and continue. Now what? We're just going to put other for that one. Oh, geez. What are your interests? What do you want to put? There you go. You read them out.
All right. What are your interests? Baseball? Okay, fine.
Definitely click that one. Yeah, that's a given.
Binge watching shows?
Yes. But he told me today, this is an interesting Cuddy fact. He told me today, I don't know if I should be sharing this, that he doesn't like to watch some particular genres of shows alone. And I was just like, oh, like romantic comedies or something like that, because you'd like to be like with some. I'm not even gonna get into it. We'll let the date find out about that, because there was a lovely young woman who said she would get coffee with Cuddy. So if this person is listening, I need to have something for them to talk about on the first date. So we don't want to give out.
Call me. I'll be a reference.
Yeah.
He likes cooking.
He does like cooking.
Does he like football?
Sure. I don't think he doesn't not like football.
Okay. Does he like karaoke?
Yes. I can't say that it's a pretty thing, but I think he likes it. But
He likes
he's good at
he
it.
likes music.
Mm-hmm.
Does he like? Well, he doesn't have a choice but to travel and watch sports. He also likes weightlifting, which I'm going to drop a Cuddy fact here.
Oh, please.
You know the one I'm talking
Oh,
about?
I don't.
Cuddy got to Tampa and signed up for a gym and went to the gym a couple days before pitchers and catchers reported and looked over and saw Aroldis Chapman working out, of all people.
Yeah. Now, for those of you who have not watched Aroldis Chapman's Instagram videos, he is an absolute machine. I'd want to be nowhere in the vicinity he's working out, because he is probably the best athlete on the team.
Like, I would be fine, like, working out near, like, a coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He'll make anyone look bad, really. So I can't imagine what Cuddy did next to Chapman.
Yeah, Cuddy.
But to Chapman's credit, he did come over and say a couple nice things to Cuddy, so that was sweet.
Yeah, Cuddy reports that they were not working on the same areas either, so.
So Chapman was working and Cuddy was working on none. It's probably the way that went. We love you, Cuddy. We're kidding. All right, what else we got here?
Okay, looking for something specific.
Oh, man.
We're going to have to let him fill
Yeah,
these out.
yeah.
Ooh, 3 things that make a relationship great. Willingness to put up with a lot of travel.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Schedule flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know. If I were a woman looking at that and I saw schedule flexibility, I would be like, nope. Well, I don't know which way you swipe.
I think that's a whole nother app.
I think my relationship predates that, so I don't know which to do.
Well, this is Match.com. This is I don't know what people use now, but if you wanted to fire up a Bumble and start swiping for Cuddy, that'd probably be more fun.
Oh, we're gonna.
Let's do that next time.
We're gonna do that.
All right, Cuddy, you're on notice. We're getting you a date. If it takes all spring, it's happening.
Well, let's leave these to Cuddy.
Yeah, we'll leave this alone a little bit.
I don't know what his priorities are. I don't know.
We've been trying to figure that out. No, he's a sweet kid. He'll be okay. He'll be fine. Any parting words? Anything you need to get off your chest before we wrap things up here? Because people are probably bored by now. No, I'm just kidding.
Parting words. For people who ask us what the players are like, most of them are pretty nice.
They are.
The thing I get asked a lot is like, which are your favorite players to talk to? And they're like, ready for me to say Aaron Judge. And while I do like Aaron Judge and find our conversations to be actually really edifying, it's like most of the time I'm like talking to the relievers, you know.
Yeah. They're around a lot. A lot of the other guys are kind of in and out,
They're,
but
like, yeah, the hitters are like always going to hit and whatnot, and so it's like, it's funny, the guys who have, you know, who have the predilection to talk are not always who like most fans think are the chattiest or most vocal on the team, and so it's just, that's a very funny thing to me. It's like, you know, I mostly talk to the nerds.
no, they're great though. They're great though. Valentine's Day was yesterday, obviously, but I couldn't let go. So I hope you don't mind some heart-shaped chocolate chip cookies. Does that work for you?
I appreciate it.
Also, some people were asking what I am going to call this. Do you have any show name ideas?
Meredith, or
I mean, that just sounds like I'm dying. I hope that's not the case, but we all are a little bit more every day.
Yeah, I mean, we are all dying.
Yeah.
It's true. Those are my parting words. M&M show?
Could do that, but I feel like the Mars Company may come as, is that a Mars Company?
You could do like
Hershey's?
M&M, like the rapper.
Oh, yeah.
The M&M show.
Yeah,
People
I
would
could do that.
definitely click that.
Or maybe just like M2, yeah.
They wouldn't watch much of it, but they would definitely
they'd be like,
click it.
we totally were thinking about something else here, and this is not what we got.
This is what we got.
We got some random thing happening. Well, I want to thank you so much. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers to you.
Thanks for watching.